loves, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Asiba, your encouraging big sister, and this is Asiba's Place. I am a military wife of 11 years and a mom of 5, and I make videos about military life and give you tips and tricks and advice that I've learned along the way while you're pursuing your journey as a military wife. Today's video is going to be about deployments. Deployments are challenging, but very few of us make it through without enduring at least one. So I'd like to give you some tips that I've learned about how to deal with deployments, and hopefully some comfort to let you know you're not alone in going through this. I'm not currently, but I've definitely been there. I'm sure I will again. So here goes. So tip number 1, deployments are tough on us. Obviously, we feel lonely, we're separated from our loved ones, maybe we're in a new place where we don't know anyone, our communication is strained, you're at home dealing with all of the home things and the kid things by yourself. Yes, they're hard on the wife, but my first tip is to keep in mind that they're hard on him too. No, he's not the one that's at home doing all the family things, but think about where your husband is. Oftentimes they're in a volatile location. They're probably in danger, being put in harm's way. They're in uncomfortable living conditions if he's on a ship, really tight living quarters. If he's somewhere overseas living in a tent in the desert, obviously he doesn't have the comforts of home. So try and keep that perspective that while it is difficult for us, it is extremely difficult for them. Not only are they under stress because of their job and their location, but they're missing out on what's happening at home. They miss us, they miss the family. They're missing out on different milestones for your kids and birthdays and anniversaries, holidays. It's really hard on them as well. So that is something really important to keep in mind as you're going through this. He didn't volunteer, well, unless he did, to go overseas and to leave the family. So try and keep that perspective while you're going through this. Okay, for my next tip, it's gonna be a little tough, but you need to be the bigger person. Don't roll your eyes, just hear me out. When you're communicating with your husband, whether that's through email or text or on the phone, and he says something that comes across as short, or maybe you don't like the way he reacts to something, maybe you've been thinking all week about some news that you want to share with him, and then you finally do and you don't care for his reaction, now is not the time to start a fight. I implore you, just be the bigger person. Try not to let it get to you. Let it roll off your back. And I know some wives immediately in their mind are thinking, well, why do I have to be the bigger person? Hopefully someone out there is telling your husband to do the same thing, but I need to be the one to tell you, be the bigger person. Don't start a fight over one conversation. Overreacting to something that he says or forgets to say, or starting an argument over a fight over a brief point of communication is not worth it. Take it from me. Years and years ago, I went through this myself and made the mistake of starting fights over something that my husband forgot to say to me over the phone, and it was a point of contention because I made something small into something bigger, and it's really not worth it because who knows when you're going to get to communicate with him again. You don't know if he's going to be in a situation where he can contact you again. So because of the distance and because of the stress of the situation, keep in mind that small things tend to be magnified during deployment, and you do not want to make a big deal out of something that isn't necessarily a big deal. Even if it is a big deal at the time, know that in the future it's not even going to matter. Eventually he will come home, you guys' communication will be better, your relationship will be intact, and these things won't even be a blip on your radar. So if you can make it past that mental headspace of being the bigger person, don't make small things into larger things. That'll make a huge difference during this deployment. Okay, next is kind of a financial tip. So oftentimes during deployment, you're going to be making more money. He's going to get separation pay, potentially hazard pay, depending on where he is. So you're going to see that reflected in the bank account. Do not spend that deployment money. I urge you, be frugal, pretend that it's not even there, and put it in your savings account. Wouldn't it be great if while your husband's away, you guys are saving that money that he doesn't need because he's not at home buying the regular things, you probably are spending less because that's one less person to buy food for. Potentially he's the one who eats the most food in the house anyway. And just be a little bit more frugal and store that money away. That way when he gets back, you guys will have this awesome sum of money saved up, and you can put it towards something important or just continue to save on top of that. This is a really good strategy for just saving for your future in general. If you bank all of that deployment money, put it aside, pretend like it doesn't exist. Next, and this is one of my favorite tips I share all the time, get outside. Girl, there is nothing worse than when you're sitting at home and you're upset because you're missing your husband and you just sit inside and look at pictures of him. I understand the need for comfort when he's gone, but you need to get out. You need to make some friends, meet up with some girlfriends if you have them, call your mom, something. Do not stay inside and be sad all the time. It's just gonna make the time go by slower, and it's gonna make things more miserable for the entire family. So if his unit has some sort of organization, maybe an FRG, a spouses club, if you're a FRO, or I think they're called DRCs now, has meetings for the spouses of the deployed Marines or service members, go out, be a part of that, okay? There's conversations being had, there's projects being formed, there's outings being planned that you're missing out on if you stay home in your sadness. It's a big deal to get out of the house and go be a part of those get-togethers. Next is OPSEC, stands for Operational Security. There's a phrase that goes, loose lips sink ships, and it's that way for a reason. You never post private information regarding the deployment or dates or anything specific on the internet. Furthermore, that sort of stuff shouldn't even be communicated. If you're talking to a girlfriend about this sort of thing, I recommend just mouth to mouth, word of mouth, but those sorts of things don't need to be published or posted anywhere public for any and all to see. You never know who's watching your communication, so it's just not a good idea to post those sorts of things publicly for obvious reasons. Oh, and along the same lines, don't trust any communication that doesn't come directly from the unit and whatever official sources they have. So if you see something on TV or you see something on the news regarding a specific location where you know that your husband is, don't take that as Bible because it's secondhand information. My next tip is send him care packages. Okay, so I've had a lot of fun with this in the past. There's all different kinds of things that you can send to your husband while he's away, things that he needs, things that he might want to kind of keep him busy and keep him entertained during downtime, things that'll make the deployment a little more comfortable. Maybe it's something that you could send him that reminds him of home or reminds him of you or the kids. If he's missing a birthday, his birthday, you can send him a birthday card, just all sorts of things. You can send pictures or love letters, send him toiletries. In fact, I have an entire blog post with a list laid out of my top recommended items for you to send to your husband while he's deployed. There's so many different options. You can decorate the care package according to a certain theme or his favorite color, or if it's during the holiday season, you can decorate it for the holidays. Really, the options are endless, and this can be a lot of fun and a good way to get the kids involved as well. And finally, when you get word that he will be back shortly, it's time to plan his homecoming. Okay, this is the absolute most exciting part of a deployment. That means you've made it through, there's only a little bit time left, and you get to get ready to welcome your husband home from a deployment. And it is a special time, really. So I highly recommend asking him first what he wants. As wives, we tend to do it up and hire a photographer and get all these banners and signs and balloons and make a whole big thing. I once threw a whole party for my husband when he returned home. But if he's coming back in the middle of the night, or if it's just been a really long trip and he just kind of wants a quiet family evening for when he comes home, that's okay too. So I think it's a good idea to ask him first what he is going to be in the mood for when he comes home, and then the following week maybe you guys can plan a luncheon or a gathering at your house or something. So just because you see it all the time on Pinterest or on the internet doesn't mean that's necessarily what he's going to want for homecoming. That is something really important to keep in mind before you actually plan it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a nice banner and some balloons to welcome him home. Definitely find out what kind of food he wants. If you know his favorite food already, make it for him, make it special, take your time, make it with love, and serve it. That way he's really getting this huge, cozy, warm welcome when he comes home with his favorite meal, his favorite people, and it really just makes him feel good. You may want to plan what outfit you're going to wear. I'm a dress girl. I wear dresses 95% of the time, no matter the weather. So I would just look online and find a cute dress, something that makes you feel confident and pretty, something that you know he would love to see you in, and plan that ahead of time so that when the time comes, you're not under stress. You already know what you're going to wear. You know, you have your banner ready and you have the meal prepared, and all you have left to do is welcome him home. So I hope those tips were helpful to help you get through a deployment. If this is your first time, just know, girl, you are not alone. We've all been through it, and you won't be the last to endure a deployment. It's just part of the territory, but we are here to encourage you. It's possible to make it through in one piece with your relationship and your sanity intact. That's why we're here. Be sure to check out my blog for that list of care package items. I also have a blog post about preparing for reintegration and all the things that happen after deployment, so be sure to check that out below. If you found this information helpful, please like the video. Maybe leave me a comment of how many deployments you've been through or how many times your husband has deployed. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here in our community of military wives, and me here to encourage you along the way. I will be back next week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.